I am trying very hard right now not to do a Daniel Green from the Fantasy News intro, but it's all I can hear in my head, so we're just going to do it anyway. Hello, 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 and welcome to all of the books on my physical TBR and why I haven't read them yet. I am your host, me, Kat, someone who likes buying books and doesn't read them fast enough. Thank you. Now, I am going to start this off by saying I'm well aware that I have quite a small physical TBR compared to some people, and yes, I do. It's what makes me able to film this video quite easily because all of the books are on the floor. If you are nosy in other videos, that is where I keep my physical TBR that I'm going to pick from first, and that's where I keep all the like sequels and like next books in the series that I need to read other books first to get to. I don't have many of those, but I'm working my way through them. I did clear my physical TBR last year. I cleared it about this time last year, and I was doing good. I was doing well on my goal of doing the same again this year. It is doable. It is. I'm going to keep telling myself that. Even if I do then go drop 100 quid in Waterstones without any forethought, I swear I just blacked out. I'm not really sure what happened. Moving on, let's start. I actually don't know how many are on this TBR, so I'll count it for you at the end. We're going to start with my latest purchase. That is The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. I haven't read this yet because I literally just bought it. I also think I might need to reread or at least Google what happened in the first book in this duology. I am slowly coming out of my Holly Black phase. I'm not sure I'm gonna like this as much as I used to love all of her fairy stuff. I think I'm growing out of it, and that's a bit sad. Then I have This Coven Won't Break. This is the second in the duology. I have read the first. I quite enjoyed the first. It didn't blow me away. I liked it enough to buy the first book. It's a duology. I could tick one of the series off my tracker if I just read this book. It's not very long. It's not like it's dense. It's not very difficult. Why haven't I done it? Because I don't think I'm going to enjoy it that much. I'm worried I'm going to hate it. It's a YA book. YA is always a bit hit and miss for me. I know I enjoyed the first book, but I'm worried I'm not going to like the second one. I also cannot remember what happens in the first one, and I'm not going to reread the first one. We shall see. I think this one's going to come up soon just so I can tick it off my list, so I can just get it off my shelf and be done with it. We shall see. Next, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I picked this up because everyone was talking about it, and it was in the charity shop where I volunteered this time last year. I have had this on my shelf for a year. I have looked at picking up the audiobook for free on Spotify about 4 times. It is not a long book. It would take me... How long is this book? Oh, I hope that's not spoiling anything. Where are the page numbers? 223 pages. This would take me maybe 3 hours to finish, start to finish. It would take me less than that, half the time, if I was listening on audiobook, which I've had the option to do many, many times. Why haven't I read it? I'm worried it's going to be a bit kitschy, literary fiction sort of... I think it's overhyped. I think it might be overhyped. I think it might not be my kind of book. I think it's going to have unlikable characters in it. And I don't always get along well with unlikable characters. It's not my bag. It's not my bag. So here we are. It's not that hard. You know what does bother me already? They're starting chapters in the middle of the page. Who fucking does that? That shouldn't be allowed. I don't like that. That's another reason why I haven't read it yet. Next, a very lovely Arc of Piranesi. This is not mine. I borrowed this from my mother, and I only borrowed it from my mother about a week ago. So there's that. That's it. That's actually the only reason I haven't read this one. This is a very new addition to my bookshelf. Oh, speaking of new editions, this is some of the damage I did in Waterstones the other day. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I am so excited to read this because I adored Foundryside. I adored that whole trilogy. Same author, different concept. This is supposed to be so good. Niels from the Fantasy Hive has given this such a stellar review. It is supposed to be fantasy Sherlock Holmes, as far as I'm aware, and I'm so here for it. I just haven't got to it yet. I will. It's not going to last long. I will get to it. Same again for The Dragons of Deepwood Fen by Bradley Beaulieu. Now, I have read something by him before, so I'm a little bit nervous that I'm not going to like this one because I tried the book of his that has the lady on the front cover with the swords and she looks very intimidating. I feel like it's the assassin of something. You can see it, I can't. That's what it's called. But this one's all about dragons, and Fantasy Hive interviewed him, and his interview was very good, and he talked about all the different kinds of dragons that are in this book. And I'm just very excited to get into this, but I haven't owned it for that long. It's also quite chunky. I've also got 6 library books out at the moment, which are all due back in less than 3 weeks. So it's not at the top of my priority list just because of that, but I'll get there. The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I really enjoyed the first book, but it took a lot of brain power to enjoy the book. And this one's real big. This one's real big, and I can't really remember what happened in the first book. And I'm not sure this is the sort of series that's gonna hold up if I just look up a synopsis of what happened in the first book. So I'm a little bit worried. I'm just a bit intimidated by the size, I'll be honest. It's supposed to be really good. I've heard nothing but good things. It's just a bit big. It's a bit big. And there's a lot of big books on my TBR. Mayday by Josie Jeffrey. I met the lovely Josie at BristolCon last year. I bought this back in October. I think she might have given me this for free actually, and I bought the second one because I have the second one as well, which is on the other shelf. Because this is B grade, it's got a bit of a funny fur front cover. Doesn't bother me at all. The reason I haven't picked this up, a little bit worried I'm not gonna like it, but also I was reading the Anita Blake series, which I think is quite similar to this. I had this discussion with Josie and now I can't remember what she said about that. And I've got a little bit of an Anita Blake hangover because the 5th book in that series really fucked me off and I've DNF'd the whole series. So I'm just taking a little bit of a break so as not to bias my opinion of what is supposed to be really quite a good book. It's a vampire detective in Oxford solving murder mysteries, and I'm so here for that. I'm here for it. I used to live near Oxford. I want to read it. This is a cool like double-sided sampler which has like the first chapter of 2 of her other novels in it. This is free. The reason I haven't picked this up is because I keep forgetting it exists because it's this thin and doesn't stand out on my shelves. That is literally the only reason I haven't picked this up. I could read this in one sitting, easy. I don't think I count it as a book though. It's sat there because I haven't picked it up. Then also I picked up at BristolCon, I picked up Queered by Max Turner. I also picked up A Little Lie by Max Turner. I read this just before Christmas and gave it 5 stars. It was a really, really good male Christmas smut novella, which if you're gonna read any Christmas book at Christmas, make it male smut. This is an anthology of unusual transmasculine erotica, and there is a very interesting character on the front that I'm not gonna give you a close-up of because of this video would get banned. I don't always do well with anthologies. I'm currently working my way through Angela Carter's Fairy Tales. That's my anthology that's on the go at the moment. I've also got to be in a very specific mood to read just a whole bunch of smutty short stories. Yep, nope, open that to a fun description. I'll get to it, I've just got to be in the mood. Oh, okay, I'm just shaming myself now. I also bought this at BristolCon. This is The Son of Blood and Ruin. I bought it from Books on the Hill in Clevedon. They had a stall there. It looks really cool. It does suffer from a bowl of mac and cheese titling, but I'm hoping that won't affect the plot. It's about a masked vigilante called Pantera. We're talking like Aztec fantasy, Spanish thrones. There's a lovely map on the inside. It's just a really nice hardback. Why haven't I picked it up? Because I keep forgetting what it's about, basically. And I'm interested in it. I have picked up a bunch of other things that I'm more interested in. And the only reason I did buy this, I'll be honest, like it looks great. It sounds great. I only bought it because I had bought something at nearly every other stall, and Books on the Hill watched me buy something at nearly every other stall. And I can't say no to a shiny new book. And this one just looked cool, and I'll get to it. That's a worryingly tall tower of books. Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I have read this. I have read this before. I have also read some of The Last Graduate, which I own, but I want to finish the series and I want to reread this series because I want to reread it all in one go. I'm going to make that effort. Why haven't I? So I'd be committing to a whole series if I did. And I haven't got the spoons for that just yet. I've got a couple of other like smaller things I want to tick off the list first. This is a stunning book though. I love this book. If you have any qualms or you're sitting on the fence about whether or not to read this book, read the book. Read the book. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Now, 3 in a row. We have 3 Pratchetts. This is a result of my lack of willpower in a charity shop. So I originally bought Carpe Jugulum for George when we did the book swap. I now want to read it, so that's why it's on my TBR. I just haven't gotten around to it. And then I also got Feet of Clay and Pyramids. These are two that I've never read, and I really like these editions, so I picked them up on a whim. I have no real plans to read them anytime soon because I trust Pratchett to just always sort of be there. I think the day that I run out of Pratchett to turn to when I get into a Pratchett-y mood will be a very dark day indeed, and I'm not ready for that to happen. I'm not ready to be anywhere near that day in my life. So we're just, these can stay on my shelf for a little bit. They're good. They're good as decoration. They work really well as decoration. Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I read Belladonna quite recently. I think I read Belladonna very quickly. I think I read it over 2 days at work because it was a very slow day at work, and it was fine. It was fine. I was in two minds about whether or not I wanted to actually buy the second one. I can't remember what tipped me over into actually buying it, so it's just been sat on my shelf ever since. I have no real inclination to pick this up, which is a shame because it's a very fun cover. It's very pretty. I don't think I actually own a copy, like a physical copy of Belladonna either, so it's just going to be sitting pretty all on its own when I finish it, which is kind of sad. In a nutshell though, I'm worried it's going to be crap, and I bought the hardback of it, and that always comes with unfun feelings. I'm sensing a theme here. Are you sensing a theme here? I'm sensing a theme here. Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey. Technically, I have been told to read this by my mother since I started puberty, since I started showing an interest in dragons, which was when I realised dragons were a thing. I can't remember if I have picked this up. There is a chance I picked this up as a very early teenager. I saw this in a charity shop not even 3 days ago, and I picked this up. So that's one excuse. But the reason I haven't read it since my mother told me to read it is because books like this used to scare me quite a lot. There's lots of small font, they talk funny, it's told in a different style, and I didn't want to have to think real hard about books. I am now much better about thinking hard about books, and I have come to appreciate that I do like older fantasy. Some, not all, but I do like some. So I will get to this. Maybe not soon. It's not going anywhere. It'll be fine, it can stay on the shelf. Mr. Strange and Mr. Norrell. Now, first of all, look at the fucking size of this book. That is the size of my head nearly both ways. It's insane. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that the size is one of the things that's been putting me off reading this fucking chunk thing. Oh, it's got pictures in it. It's got a picture in it. Is that whole page a footnote? No, I'm putting myself off. I have decided to read this for another video, which you will find out soon when I start reading the books for that video. I will not be reading this physically. My eyeballs can't handle this. They can't handle the chunk, and that's okay because I've learnt that about myself, so I will be audiobooking this monstrosity of a book. And that will be fine. But it's just it's so fucking big. It's so fucking big. And for a very long time, I didn't read books that sounded like this. In what world are margins that size legal? There's 1,000 pages of this, and the margins are about this. I'll be fine. It's the audiobook. I won't know. I can listen on 3 times speed if I really have to. I won't listen on 3 times speed. That's insane. People who listen on 3 times speed, I don't understand. 2 times speed. Yeah, I'm here for you. I understand. 3 times? What are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay? Oh, this is another one that my mother's been telling me to read for a couple of years now. Not quite as long, because she published this. This is a Handheld Press book, which is the publishing company that my mother runs. And this is a story about a lady who goes on a caravan holiday with a pompous baron who I believe she's married to. And it's supposed to be very funny. I will say that is quite dense text, Mother. That is really quite dense. But it's less than 300 pages. Realistically, this won't take me long. There is not an audiobook for this, so I will be perusing it with my eyeballs. But it is supposed to be very, very funny. And frankly, I used to work for Handheld Press, and I've never read a book of theirs from cover to cover. So it's time I rectified that, and I think this is the book that's going to allow me to do this. I will read this book, I just won't get to it straight away. Then I have The Bone Witch. The reason I haven't read this yet is because I got it for Christmas, which was 3 months ago now. And I just haven't gotten there yet. I've read the silver one. What's it called? What's the vampire one? The Castlevania fanfic. Picture here. This one. I've read this one and I really want to get to the second one. But they also wrote this series. Everyone says it's very good. I'm excited, I just haven't gotten there yet. No Gods, No Monsters by Cadwell Turnbull. I bought this because it looked pretty in a bookshop and I was trying to flex my horror muscles a little bit. I'm not in a werewolfy mood and haven't really been. Again, I think it's that Anita Blake burnout where I need a minute from urban fantasy. I will get there, but I'm a bit worried that I won't like it because I had a similar werewolf book. In fact, it was Board Gay Werewolf, which is actually, now I think about it, quite a different tone. But I think because I DNF'd Board Gay Werewolf because it was a werewolf book done badly, I'm worried that they will do this one badly as well. And I feel like the content has a lot more potential to go badly, and that's sad. I think this one might be an audiobook one because if I'm too scared to read it with my eyeballs, I will listen to it on audiobook because there is a much higher chance I will finish a book if I listen to it on audiobook. Is this my last one? This is my last one. Mostly dead things. I picked this up from Proud Geek at the alternative market, Christmas market. I don't know if it's a Christmas market. It happened at Christmas. I'll be honest, I bought this up because it has a taxidermy rat pouring itself a glass of wine on the front cover. And it does say that there is a taxidermy business in here and it sounds like someone's family's life is falling apart. And people have described it as hilarious, deeply morbid and full of heart. And that does sound really quite up my alley. I'll be honest, the reason that I haven't gotten to this is because for a while there, I had my TBR shelved arranged so all the books in series that I hadn't gotten to yet were at the front, and all the standalone ones that didn't have anything to do with my series tracker were at the back, and this was at the back for so long I forgot I had it. I'll get there. I am still excited to read this. You should be too. Yes, now I've actually gone through all of them, that's a reasonable physical TBR. If I just stop buying books that in the middle of that sentence I realised I'm expecting about 4 more books in the post this week. If I just stop buying books there, I'll stop. I should be fine. And I reckon I can get all of those read by my birthday at the end of July. I think that's doable. We'll aim for that. Then of course I do have to get through the arcs that I got off of NetGalley. I also have to read the 6 books that have now come through in the library. And then I have my digital TBR, which combined with some of these books is over 150 books long. I think to some people that might sound like doable, but I think because it is doable, but it's on the challenging side of doable, it's more challenging, it feels scarier. If I had 300 books on my TBR, total, that would be overwhelming because I know I could never read that in a year, but I could finish every single book on my physical and digital TBR this year if I wanted to, and that is what scares me because I think I might do it and I think I might crash and burn. Yes. There you go. That's everything on my TBR at the moment and why I haven't read it yet. Have you read any of these? Are there any that I should bump to the front? I am currently ploughing my way through some library books because deadlines really help. But what should I pick up next? Do I finish a series? Do I start something new? Do I pick them off from oldest to newest? I need some variety in my life. I need a funky way of picking what I read next because if I try and do it in an order, I get really bored and I abandon that halfway through. Anyway, that's your problem now. Tell me how I'm supposed to read them. What do I pick up next? Thank you. See you next Sunday. Bye.